Amy Greene, our guest tonight, was born and raised in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, where she lives with her husband and 2 children. Her debut novel, Bloodroot, is named for a flower whose blood-red sap possesses the power both to heal and poison. Anne Kingman calls Bloodroot an Appalachian Wuthering Heights. Its mesmerizing story will let you into the world where Birdie, one of my favorite characters in the book, teaches little girls how to make pie crust and how to season their beans and how to make their biscuits fluffy. The world where Myra Lamb naps under a tree covered with butterflies with their wings opening and closing, white petals flower, bleeding red sap from its roots. For days after I finished reading Bloodroot, I dreamt about the Bloodroot mountain hills and its blue flowers. I wanted to go there and find the road to Myra's great-grandmother Birdie's house. Amy Greene is a storyteller and a sorceress. She has put a spell on me, and I will be putting her first book into everybody's hands. Bloodroot is filled with a deep, wild love for home and family, mystery, magic, and romance. How often a book like this comes your way? A book you read and every so often press to your heart and reread like a love letter. Please join me in welcoming Amy Greene to Kepler's.
One time she made us blackberry cobbler. We walked to the Barnetts after sugar, and I rode on her hip. When I asked Johnny about it later, he said it never happened. He pretended not to remember Mama before she was different, but I can still see our teeth and tongues stained dark with juice. I tried to remember for him how she turned the radio loud and danced us around, and the chocolate cake she made when we turned 6. I reminded Johnny of those things, but he always said I dreamed them.
Where do you write? And I saw that you were married and have 2 kids, so how do you have time to write?
I write in my bedroom, and with the door shut, and I write first longhand in a notebook, and then I kind of polish it up on the computer. But I find that that kind of intimacy of putting pen to paper is really conducive to my creativity. And the way that I'm able to do it with small children is my husband, who's standing back there. and he has always, before I was even working on Bloodroot, just because I've always written, and so he always made it possible for me to have that time in my room. And when he would come home from work, he would take over the kids and let me go in my room and have some private time to write. So I think it's really important, especially for a mother with small kids, to have a supportive husband, and thankfully I do. So.
Other people in the bookstore have also come up to me and said, you were the luckiest person to get to introduce her. I wish I were introducing her. So we actually sort of had a rivalry to introduce her. And her is Amy Greene, of course, and her debut novel is Bloodroot.
When she quit paying attention to us, I missed her bad. I thought I must have got too big to fit in her lap. If I tried to climb up, she didn't put her arms around me. Pretty soon, I gave up. I still loved her, though. I know Johnny loved her, too. But he got mad when she took herself away. One time, he hacked down her little patch of corn with a stick, but it didn't do any good. It was like she didn't notice. Then he set her scarf on fire, a lacy one that hung on her bedpost and used to belong to her granny. He took it out in the grass and held a match to it. Mama went out to stand with him, and they watched it burn together. When the fire dwindled down to ashes, she walked away and left him there. I went to him, but he jerked away. Pretty soon, Johnny gave up like I did.
And there's just so much local flavor that I think for those who have not visited the area or know the area will definitely be able to pick up the sense and the 3 dimension of the area of which you write. It's beautifully woven into the storytelling.
I think that comes from, the fact that when I was a little girl, I spent most of my time outside, and I think I do love the land like another person, just like another member of my family, and so, I think it was probably only natural that would, show in what I write. Yeah, I feel very close to nature, and I think probably that's another part of myself that kind of went into Myra, because I feel like she's kind of that wild child who's very like the spirit of the mountain. And I think that my love of nature is what I put into her, is the part of me that I put into her.
Now, are you on Twitter?
Oh, okay, I remember you. Okay, now, so I know how to spell your name then.
Wow.
That's it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I am so glad.
Congratulations. And that was for me, right?
Oh, thank you so much.
I have the art. I had to get the art.
Thanks to all of you for coming. I'm really excited to be here. I did get on the plane for the first time to come here, so it's very special to be here. First flight ever. Yeah. One time she made us blackberry cobbler. We walked to the Barnetts after sugar, and I rode on her hip. When I asked Johnny about it later, he said it never happened. He pretended not to remember Mama before she was different, but I can still see our teeth and tongues stained dark with juice. I try to remember for him how she turned the radio loud and danced us around, and the chocolate cake she made when we turned 6. I reminded Johnny of those things, but he always said I dreamed them. He didn't even remember the day we walked down the mountain picking up cans and seen the school bus. There was a child's face in the window, and I asked Mama where they was going. She said they was going to school. Johnny wanted to go with them, but Mama said she could teach us all we needed to know. Later, she showed us how to read with her finger moving underneath the words. I forgot fast, but Johnny loved the storybooks. He read them over and over.
That she would really, I mean, anybody who's lived in that part could know, how much true.
Yeah.
But I don't think, we're kind of in a fairyland in a way here, you know?
Yeah.
We just,
Go to the holler and you'll see. Yeah, and that's why I'm so glad that it has resonated. I guess I was kind of afraid before I released it into the world, because there is so much of my heart into it, and so much of my love of home, and so much of what I hope and feel is truth, you know, about where we come from, that I didn't know how it would be received in other parts of the country. And because, you know, people here and people in New York, and you know, are able to appreciate it, then that gives me hope that maybe I've been able to convey something universal, you know, some universal truth, or some, you know, universal sentiment that is, you know, that other people are connecting with. But there was that fear, maybe nobody will understand this who hasn't lived it, you know. But thankfully that people do.